Hello. I have a story to share with you today that is adapted from one written by Katie Gelfand, and it begins with a gathering of women who came together, 4 women from the 4 different directions, to enter into a time of sacredness together. And as they came, each of one brought with them a pitcher of water from their own community as they brought their stories and their experiences with them to their gathering. And where they gathered, there was a large container for water. This represents that. And each of them has their own pitcher of water, and I've got a little pitcher of water of my own here today. And so I want to share this story with you. The youngest woman came from the east with the spirit of air. Can you help me call to mind the spirit of air this morning? Let's make some air, some wind. Ready? As she poured some water, the water from her pitcher, into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about the excitement of children being born, the music of laughter that fragranced the neighborhoods, and the bliss of young people falling in love. And as she shared the story from her heart, she laughed. And that laughter, too, entered the vessel and mingled with the water. The mother came from the south with the spirit of fire, like the fire we have in our flaming chalice. And as she poured the water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about adapting to the ever-changing world of parenting and the challenges of navigating family life and the hard time that many in her community were having in times of stress and transition and big change. And as she shared the stories from her heart, a drop of sweat formed on her brow and then dropped into the vessel. Next, from the west, the spirit of water came the sovereign woman, powerful woman, who poured the water from her pitcher into the vessel and shared stories from her community about friends and loved ones who had died, the grief of those who missed them, and the deep pain she carried for the wounds that people have inflicted on one another and on the world. And as she shared her story, a tear dropped from her eye and mingled with the waters in the vessel as well. Next, from the north, came an elder woman with the spirit of the earth. And I invite you now, some of you might be outside, I don't know, and you might be able to feel the earth directly, but for the rest of us, I invite you to place your feet on the floor and imagine that you can feel the earth deep below us, holding up and sustaining that ground beneath us. And so, as the woman of the north poured her water into the vessel, she shared stories about the peace that she had found in solitude, the comfort she found in witnessing the changing of the seasons and the phases of the moon, and the renewal that she felt when sharing her wisdom with those who would listen to her. And as she shared her story, a tear of joy fell from her eye and landed in the waters. And then, between the 4 women, there was a vessel filled with the waters of joy and laughter and change and transition and sorrow and loss and renewal and peace. And there the waters mixed together in harmony, blessed by the stories of the women who had brought them from each of their communities. And then each woman took out a small container that they had brought with them and filled it from the vessel of compassion that they had gathered to take back with them to their communities, to bring back the love and compassion of all people to them until such time as they could gather together in person again. Later in this service, we are going to have, as part of our water communion ritual, an opportunity to actually make use of some water. And so I want to invite you, if you do not already have some drinking water handy, I would like to invite you to between now and the ritual time in the service to gather some water of your own. And I've got mine in one of my favorite glasses. You can use whatever container you want, but I want you to know ahead of time that there's going to be an invitation later in the service for us all to share some water together as we do our water communion this year in a different way than we have before. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me today.